Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime. That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh.
That was the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World. And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Yeah.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
6 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 27th day of June in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and we sure do appreciate you taking the time to listen today. This is Mac's World Live. If you have been a talk show listener for many years, you will know that we did this show for 6 years over on 98.3 and have also done it on 1040 WHO. And this has been our home for, Chris, it's 5 years right now, isn't it? Or 5 years next month?
August 1st will be 5 years.
August 1st?
Well, yeah, that's
Okay.
when we started, August 2011.
It's so nice that my sweetie keeps our anniversary date. You know, he knows it. He just knows. And you may say, well, 5 years, how come I never heard of it? Well, the radio signal here was a signal that covered more of North Iowa, up. If we could change it. And they said no, and so we sent Frank in. And then they said yes.
They said if you just get rid of him, we'll give you whatever you want. If you just get him out of here.
Because they wanted a city-grade signal to hear more of me.
That's right. And so, and that'll be 1 year. Last week, I heard you say on the radio.
Last week was 1 year from when we started broadcasting with our current signal, yeah.
All right, so thank you very much. If you listen to different day parts or different times during the day to this station, you're going to hear everything from, some of the most amazing preachers and teachers, national, the finest cream of the crop that are local, and then shows like Dr. Brown, myself, Steve Dace, who are politically, socially, that's really our passion. I would also mention, how do I say this nicely? We select, Chris, you say it. We select the people that are on our station. It is not about anybody who's got a Bible and a microphone can come on, especially the local pastors. I mean, you're in charge of that, and you really are careful when it comes to local pastors.
Yeah, the way I would say this, we have a relationship with all the local pastors and churches that you hear on the station, and we give them our thumbs up. We kind of give them our seal of approval, whatever that's worth to you. But they're screened. I mean, just because someone says they want to be on the radio and tell you what God has to say to them doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get on the air. So we have a relationship. We're conscious of what's on the air. Even Frank, we're aware of Frank. We're aware of you. We even keep tabs on me. Probably should keep closer tabs on me, but yeah.
And Bob gets a free pass. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Bob is. Him and God, they're like this.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So.
And Jebediah, same way.
Yeah.
I never knew this, but Jebediah is a gun enthusiast. He knows more about guns than you know about coffee. I mean, he really does. So we're glad to have Jebediah as our producer. All right.
I'm going to figure that out, Jeb.
Want to introduce you to a friend of mine. We think it's probably 30 years. You graduated from East High.
Yes, sir.
And you joined the Navy.
I did. Graduated in 1981 and went into the Navy very soon after that.
And what was your job in the Navy?
I was a naval cryptologist.
That's a huge word. What do you, crippled people?
No.
Here, take that one out.
That's right.
Send Dan to him.
Kind of like that.
What is a cryptologist?
Well, cryptologist was a very large umbrella. I worked for Naval Intelligence. I worked for the NSA, most specifically for about 10 years. I was an expert in human intelligence and radar intelligence, some different things like that.
So you're an expert in human intelligence?
I was.
Could I buy you lunch with Frank and have you come back and tell me if that's human intelligence or not?
I would take lunch, but I don't know if I could get Frank down.
I think you deciphered secret encoded messages, right?
That's the true definition of cryptology. But like I said, it was a wide umbrella of things. I did a lot of ELINT, which is electronic intelligence, and human intelligence as well.
And you've got the cutest wife.
She is wonderful, wonderful.
All right. So 10 years in the Navy.
Yes, sir.
Retired, what do they call that, in good standing or?
Yep. Honorable discharge.
Honorable discharge. And came back to Des Moines.
Yep. Always knew I'd come home.
But something happened to you.
Yeah. Well,
tell us about that.
Well, it happened recently. I got out of the Navy actually in 1992, Mac. I've been out of the Navy for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm an old man, as you can see.
You're not
like
an old
you.
man.
But most recently, November the 2nd of last year.
Okay.
My 1 month wedding anniversary to my beautiful wife. By the way.
My heavens!
I was.
Let me guess. You were married on October 2nd.
You have got it right.
See?
I'm going to count on you to call me every year and tell me your anniversary.
See, you know about secret codes. I know about math.
You know some stuff.
All right, go ahead.
So I was literally carrying a small white kitchen garbage bag out to my trash. I had suffered with some back and knee pain, that was service related, but I tripped and fell, hit my head on a landscaping brick that was near my driveway. You can see a crease in my head.
Yeah, you've got I guess that's about a 4-inch.
I would say so, yeah.
And it looks like somebody put an axe in your head.
It feels like it.
But really, I mean, there's a slice.
Absolutely.
And it's not just a surface wound. It actually has depth to it.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'm falling, and it's one of those falls where you're going, man, this is going to hurt. You know it's going to hurt when you're falling. So I hit the landscaping brick, and I was paralyzed from the neck down immediately.
Oh, my.
Could not move a muscle. It's, November, early evening. It's dark. I'm a rather robust man right now.
Yes, you are.
But you're
just a little north of 200 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I was 90 to 100 pounds heavier then.
Oh, wow.
On my chest, suffocating myself. I couldn't move. And I could barely scream. I couldn't yell for help. And luckily enough, my neighbor heard me, and I don't know how he heard. It was, through the grace of God that he heard me. The neighbor across the street.
Oh my!
He thought it was a cat or a little kid came over, and and they got me to where I could breathe and called the ambulance and rushed me off to the hospital. Now, initially, I went to Yonkers here in town because they had the ER facilities to be able to handle
a brain injury.
Yeah, a brain injury. The local VA would have had to send me there anyway. So, and we knew that. Luckily, my wife was smart enough to know that stuff.
Okay.
And she sent me there, so I did some recovery there for a few months, and it was a wonderful, wonderful location.
Okay, now hold on. I'm going to have to ask you to back up for a second.
Alrighty.
When you went into the hospital for the emergency room, how long from that point until you were no longer fully paralyzed?
I started getting movement back in my feet in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
I would say.
All right.
Slowly, I had a spinal cord injury, so
How did you have a spinal cord injury by hitting your head?
I hit my head, and it forced my neck backwards, my head backwards, and apparently I had a bone spur in my spine that drove into my spinal cord.
Wow. And it didn't cut the cord.
Didn't cut the cord. It just bruised it enough that it was swollen and I was paralyzed.
Now, I've never asked anybody this because I've never had a reason to. How big in circumference is a spinal cord? Is it like a pencil? You don't know?
I have no idea.
So a little bigger than a pencil, Gina. Okay, all right. And a bone spur nicked it, didn't cut it, bruised it, and you were paralyzed.
Exactly.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I'm.
So after about 2 weeks, you start to get a little feeling back. Now, I noticed when you walked in here, you walk with a little bit of a gimp maybe, but you're doing great.
Yep. My legs are back, pretty good. I can, Gina and I get out and walk around Gray's Lake a couple times a week. But my arms and my shoulders are still very weak. I have the grip of maybe a toddler right now.
Okay. All right.
And I'm working on it still.
Okay.
I think, but that I'm in the hospital and at Yonkers still doing recovery, and the nurses are coming in and they're telling me, well, we need to set up a plan for you, Dan. We need to get you set up and get your house set up so you can be in an electric wheelchair for the rest of your life. And I was like, that's playing F or Z or somewhere down there. That's not what, that's not what I have. And I knew, and I can back up, when I'm laying in that driveway praying, and Gina can tell you, I'm praying out loud. I'm, talking to God this whole time that, I'm ready to go if that's what the good Lord needs for me. I've been other places, ready to go, but I've just started a new chapter in my life with a new wife. And if he doesn't have the, if he could just give me that more time with her, I would appreciate it.
And you're praying this out loud.
Absolutely.
Did you? And Gina, you heard him praying that. Yeah. Okay. Gina's here. She just doesn't want to be on camera or on the radio. So.
All right, I knew that wasn't going to be the plan.
Okay. So hold on right there. So we are about Christmas time, 2015. So 7 months ago, 6
Correct.
months ago. All right. If you have questions for Dan or comments, we'd love to have you join us, 244-0077. You can also text us at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. Wait till you see how God shows up. I love Dan's story. It's coming up next, live here in Mac's World on 99.3. You know what we are? We're the truth. Thanks for listening.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, 21 minutes after 4:21 in the afternoon. We're going to continue with Dan's story in a minute, but right now I want to talk about your story. How you doing? You need prayers? You just let us know. How you doing on the future? Got that figured out? Like your retirement? It's important that you sit down and talk to some people. I thought I had it figured out, and I didn't. I was okay, but a lot better now. Weiss Merkel Financial. They'll be on the radio next week with us. They have an event you can go to, which is coming up on Tuesday, July 19th, so almost a month away, a little over a month away, a little less than a month, excuse me. It's called the Passport to Retirement. It's free. It's 3 hours, and you're done. If you want to go to that, I'll be glad to give you a couple tickets. They're $49 for two, for a couple. But I'll be glad to give you some free tickets if you just call Jebediah, get us your information, or call directly to Weiss Merkel and 278-4110. And they'll be glad to help you out. 22 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock on the 27th day of June in the Lord's year, sorry about that, Lord's year 2016, Dan Nichols graduated from East High in 1981 and went off to be a Navy man and ended up being a cryptologist.
Yep.
Is that right? Cryptologist. He goes around and opens up old crypts and then figures out, what? No, that's not what he does. That was an intelligence position, right?
Yes.
In the government. All right. And on the second day of October in 2015, he married the love of his life. And 30 days later, he went out to take the garbage out, literally to take the garbage out, fell, hit his head on a brick. And if you could see Dan, you would see that he's got about a 3 or 4 inch gash across the top of his head, and there's an indention there. It goes down. It's just not a scar. It is an indention. He went into the hospital, and they told him that he was paralyzed from the neck down, and he needed to prepare his house and his life to be in a motorized wheelchair for the rest of his life. And you basically said, no, I don't accept that.
Correct.
Talk about that.
Well, they came in, and Gina and I are, I'm laying down and Gina's sitting next to me, and they're, it just seemed like this was the matter of fact. We don't know if or ever you're going to recover, and if you recover, we don't know how much. So we need to set this plan in place to start getting ramps in place and getting you set up for an electric wheelchair. And, I knew that that's not what God had in place for us. I just, in my heart, I knew it. So.
Well, medicine is not an exact science. Let's be clear about that. And doctors can't never factor in faith and a relationship with Christ. And they can't obviously factor in healing.
I 100% agree with you. And nothing against the doctors. They did a wonderful job. I'm here in part to what they did and the knowledge and the skills, God has given them as well. It's all part of the plan.
You talked about laying on the ground, almost suffocating because you were laying on the way you breathe and you couldn't breathe.
Yep.
And you talked about your prayers, your out loud prayers to God as you laid there.
Yeah.
And you said to him, if it's time, and you're ready. But you just married this incredible woman that you'd been waiting all your life for, and you just didn't feel like it was God's plan to take you home now.
That's how I felt, and just God and I had that conversation. I was on the out loud side, but if it's time, that's fine. But
so there wasn't any There wasn't any promises made. If you heal me, I'll be a better boy. I'll promise I'll make my bed. I promise I'll... Well, you probably don't want to take the garbage out again, but...
I was told I can't.
I was going to say, I bet you take out the trash now, don't you, Gina? Oh, okay. You have children to do that. All right.
That's what teenagers are for.
All right. So you are in Yonkers, and you're beginning to get some feeling back in your feet. What are the doctors saying about this?
They're saying, no one's making any promises. No one's saying anything that they're, it's just a we'll have to see. We're meeting with a surgeon who is telling us you're going to have one surgery, but we want you to go through physical therapy and up until then. So I went through physical therapy for several weeks, and then we went into a surgery, and they fused my C2 through C6, and that's as far as my knowledge goes.
Now that's the lower part of your...
That's your lower part of your neck.
Part. Okay.
So then I recovered from the surgery after that and went back to therapy. And then sooner or later, my traditional insurance, which I had used up until that time, ran out. And I had very few choices. It was go to a care facility, a retirement home type of facility where I would get maybe an hour's worth of therapy a day if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Or go to the VA. And
had you used the VA at all over the last 30 years?
I had not, and I was scared.
Yeah.
Scared to death, because of what you hear, what you saw on TV, all those things. But some people from the VA came in and talked with me. Were very excited to talk to me, very excited to tell me what they could do.
They came over to see you while you're at Yonkers?
Yes.
Yonkers Rehab Methodist?
Correct.
Okay.
And came over to talk to me and really made me feel at ease, at least more at ease with the transition and what was going to happen. I made that transition and found it to be the best thing that had ever happened to me.
So if I hear you correctly, you didn't have the horror story experience with the VA like so many people are publicizing today.
Absolutely not. My experience was 180 from that, Mac.
Did you witness or see any of that type of treatment at the VA?
Not at the VA in Des Moines. I did not.
Okay.
It was a positive place. It was a place of healing. It was great. It was really great.
Okay, good. I want to hear more about that, and I also want to hear the role your church played. Okay, the role that your church played.
Absolutely.
Because they did what a church is supposed to do, right?
They did.
Yeah, and that's Valley over there in West Des Moines. All right, you sit tight, and we'll continue this story in just a minute. 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call in. Or you can also reach us at 515-809-0993. Anybody ever experience in a family or a friend VA hospital coverage? Wasn't your father in the service?
Yeah,
wasn't he like a colonel or something?
He retired as a major in the United States Army.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up going to military hospitals though my whole life. I never had like a family practitioner or a family doctor. So that medical hospitals were my normal growing up. It wasn't until I got out on my own and was married that I started to have a regular doctor.
You mean military hospitals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's different than the VA, right? Yeah.
Well, no.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
You said medical hospitals.
Yeah.
I figured they were all medical.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Bob. Yeah,
All right.
I meant military hospital.
So what difference did you see in your health care when you stopped going to a military hospital and started going to a for-profit business hospital?
The way the care changed was my experience. Now I grew up going to a military hospital, as I said, and so we would just go into the waiting room and see who was ever available next. And I never had major surgery or anything like that, but I didn't have a regular doctor that I had a relationship with. I didn't know nurses. I didn't know clerks, or it was just you just went, waited, got seen, went home. But I didn't think anything. I didn't think it was weird though. So that was what I experienced. And then when I went to like Max said, a for-profit private doctor, the difference I think was just more of the relationship, because then you start to know the person that you meet that says hi to you when you first walk in. You get to know the doctor, you get to know the nurses, and that kind of stuff is a little bit different. But that was my experience, Mac.
Anybody else? You didn't serve. Okay. Jeb, you didn't. You're serving this general right now. Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll get back to Dan's story in just a minute. If you've got a story to share, I'll be glad to put you on the air. We're going to make it quick, though, because I want to make sure we get all of Dan's story in. I was going to share a little experience that I had over the weekend, and somebody walked up to me at Hope, and I had a microphone on because I was going to read the scripture in the church that service. And the guy walked up to me, and we knew Mike was gone this weekend, Mike Householder. And a guy walked up to me and said, "Are you giving the message today?" Right. And I guess I'm kind of saying this on the radio because he really made me feel good. I suppose there's some word there, but there's something else. But he went on. And he said, "Mac, I listened to your show." And he said, "I know what you'd preach about if you had one message to preach." And I said, "Well, I know what I think I'd preach, but tell me what you think I'd preach." And he nailed it. You nailed it, Larry. You nailed it between my eyes. Luke 17. Forgiveness. I end every show with the simple statement that whatever resentment you're carrying, drop it at the foot of the cross. Give it to Jesus. And I know that we all, in all of our personal relationships with Jesus, Jesus does fill those voids in our life, and then gives us something even more amazing, and that's this Holy Spirit, this constant connection with Him, this connection that says we'll never be alone. He will never stop loving us. We will always have that unstoppable, never-ending joy called Makarios. We will forever and a day be with Him. He is the definition of infinity. There will never be a day forever that I'm not walking and talking with Jesus. And everybody talks about the fact that Jesus taught love, and He did. God is the understanding of love. He is the creator of love. He is the example of love. God can love His enemies, and He wants us to do the same. God can teach us to love people who have done just horrendous things to us. We hear it all the time about somebody murdering somebody or raping someone or just doing a horrible, horrible thing. And the family comes out and says, "We forgive you." So forgiveness is the second thing that Jesus taught us to do. And He lays it out in Luke 17 how to do it. Do you have it open to June?
Yeah, do you want to read it?
Do you want to read it?
I just underlined it, if you can.
Pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him. And if he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 times in that very day and turns to you 7 times saying, "I repent," you must forgive him. The apostle said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." And the Lord said, "If you had faith like the grain of a mustard seed, the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you." Pay attention to yourselves. I'm repeating. If your brother sins, rebuke him. If he repents, forgive him. And if he sins against you 7 more times, turn to him 7 more times and say, "I repent." I repent. Forgive me. I just want to remind folks in the middle of the show today. I always do it at the end of the show, but I wanted to remind you in the middle of the show that the most powerful way we can show that we are a follower of Jesus is to forgive. Because remember, He's forgiven your unforgivables. So you be that man or woman and forgive.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nichols Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed raters free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still a fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
4:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. And then, Frank, who's on from 5 to 6?
Hank, the Bible Answer Man.
And how do we get a hold of him?
1-888-ASK-HANK.
And you've talked to Hank Hanegram.
At least twice.
And do you usually agree? On a scale of 1 to 10, how many times do you agree with him? Do you agree with him half the time?
1.
Oh, really? You don't agree with...
I find myself rarely in agreement, but I do agree with him once in a while.
So, Bob, how about you? You listen to Hank?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, it's on our drive home, so there's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. I mean, I just, if somebody said, who would you like to be when you grow up? I'd like to be Hank. I mean, this is a live radio show that he's doing, live.
Yeah.
People call in to ask a question. He has no idea what that question is.
Right.
And very rarely do I not hear him be able to get right on topic. Now, I'm sure he's got a computer and it's Bible Gateway or Gateway Bible and all that.
Yeah. Call screener probably gives him some slight heads up.
You think so?
Yeah.
See, I thought for you, Mac, I thought you would go a little higher than Hank to be like that person.
Why? You don't like Hank that much?
I figured
either?
you'd want to be like Jesus.
Oh,
Got you on that one.
Bob. Hey, Dan Nichols is our guest today. You know what you call somebody with no arms and no legs, Dan, when you throw them in the water?
I don't know what.
Bob.
I believe that.
Dan Nichols is my guest today. Yes, it's the Dan you know. Graduated from East High in 1981. Joined the Navy, became a cryptologist, which means he deciphers secret messages and other things like that. Got out of the Navy after 10 years and really never used his VA medical health insurance because you had good insurance through work. But found himself literally, this is less than 5 months ago now, isn't it?
Yep.
Or 6 months. This is 6 months.
Yep.
Went to take the garbage out. Now, how many jokes start with, well, I went to take the garbage out and, well, Dan went to take the garbage out. Did you slip?
I tripped over the lawnmower that I left out after the last mow of the year.
He trips over the lawnmower, and when he goes down, he hits his head on the side of a brick, and immediately he is paralyzed from the neck down. Would later find out that his spinal cord, which is probably the circumference of a penny, maybe, or a nickel. About a penny or a nickel. It's bigger than you think. It's bigger than like a pencil. And a bone spur bruised. I'm really being careful with the words here. A bone spur in your back bruised your spinal cord, and you were paralyzed from the waist down.
Absolutely.
Laid on the ground and prayed out loud to God. God, I'm ready to go home. I love you. I love Jesus. I've had a good life. I'm ready to spend eternity with you. But you had just married the girl of your dreams.
Yes.
1 month previously.
Exactly 1 month.
And you said if you could keep me around, you'd really like to be here. They took you to Yonkers. They took you to the hospital. They put you in Yonkers. And they came in and told you to prepare to spend your life in an electric wheelchair. Get your house set up. Get your ramp set up. Get your everything. And then when the insurance ran out, you had to go to the VA. Now, were you scared of going to the VA with this type of injury because of what you hear in the media and in the press? Because all you ever hear is the VA is incompetent. They can't take care of people. There's too long of a wait. By the time you get in, you're dead, et cetera, la, 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 la.
Absolutely. I was terrified, Mac. And by this time, I was walking with some assistance.
Okay.
Being able to do a little bit of walking.
Did you ever want to look at those nurses that told you you'd be in a wheelchair and go neener, neener, neener?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I wanted to do that. But I was walking and moving around, and I knew, there was still a what modifications do you need to have in your life? But the therapy and the things that I got at Yonkers were fabulous. And I had a wonderful private room with cable TV and all kinds of things. And I was scared to go to the VA. And when I got there, like I said before, I'd had people come in and talk to me from the VA, and they were very, accommodating and made me feel a lot better about it. But I was still, I was rolling in on that gurney in tears, trying to fight it back because I was like, this is it.
The VA is going to, here comes the horror stories.
You're done.
You're going to be given a number, and your care is going to be secondary, and you may never go home again.
Exactly. I was like, this may be the end of me, or the end of at least my recovery, because I'm not going to get what I had there.
Okay, so I'm going to guess you are 51?
53.
53, okay.
I know I'm good looking.
You are, but much too young to think of the rest of your life. I mean, buddy, I can't imagine sitting there in that room in Yonkers thinking about what those medical professionals said. And I'm not knocking them. I'm really not knocking them. They did the best prognosis they could at the time with the information that they had.
Absolutely.
But I know what the feces committee would do in my head when the lights are out and the TV's off and it's just me and Jesus. That accuser would come into my head and start telling me that God let me down. I laid on that ground and I prayed out loud, and here I am sitting in this bed with the idea that I may be in an electric wheelchair the rest of my life. And everything that you thought you would do, you now know you wouldn't do.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Mac, you would think that's the way it would be. And if I were to think what I would have reacted like, that's what I would say too. But I can count on the number, on one hand, the number of bad days I had. It was beyond what I could think or what I could do. I knew that through Christ, he had a hold of me the whole time. It was not going to let me have that day or have those thoughts. It didn't happen.
So you had that peace that I talked about in the last segment.
Absolutely.
That unstoppable, never-ending joy that no matter what, God is with you forever and a day.
Absolutely. I mean, you can look over here at my wife and ask her, there were those days, one or two, but not many.
Okay. So you get to the VA, and the good news is you had an amazing, and still are having, an amazing experience to the Veterans Administration.
I rolled, I came into the VA, got my room, had a roommate, which was different than Yonkers. Only had regular TV, no cable. That was different than Yonkers. And I sat there and I thought, well, if I'm here for the private room and I'm here for the cable TV, I'm not here for the right reasons.
Right, it's not a hotel stay, right?
Yeah.
You know what I just thought of, Chris? I'm going to just change subject for just a second. You got a campaign on to get Mediacom to give the VA free cable. Why couldn't they do that? Just something to think about.
Yeah. I'll write a note.
I mean, there isn't expense. Well, I guess there is the DVR box. But anyway, I'm sorry, Dan. I just thought about that. I'm always looking for ways to serve people. And cable TV, well, anyway.
You're a good man.
I might work on that. We'll call it Dan's something.
Dan's Law.
Well,
no, it's not a law.
Well, if I can help, I'm in.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So, and my roommate Ted was his name, turned out to be a fabulous guy.
Is he still there?
Nope. Okay. He's gone. But, I was still doing my 3 or 4 hours worth of therapy a day, both occupational and physical therapy, learning to walk, learning to use my hands again. The people there, the therapists, they cared absolutely about you, about your family, about everything that went on there. And one of the big differences between the two places I was at, besides the private room and the cable TV, was when I got done, it wasn't just going back to your room to crawl in bed and watch TV. We're going to play bingo. We're going to, there are things going on every evening, whether it's, game night, whether it's playing. I mean, I couldn't hit a volleyball, but we played volleyball with a balloon, in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And it sounds maybe stupid to some people.
No.
But, I'm there.
When you're told you're going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, and now you're playing volleyball, I don't think that's stupid at all.
I'm there surrounded by a bunch of guys my age or older.
Having a great time. All right. What else did the VA do for him? It's all good. And his church. We'll hear about that in our last segment next.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah!
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Ten minutes after the hour, 27th day of June. Can you believe we are 4 days and we are halfway done with this year? Crazy, man. And we think about where we wanted to be halfway through the year. You were hoping we had presidential candidates that you could honor and you could look up to, and you hope that maybe, just maybe Jesus was showing up a little more. And it seems like it's the accuser who gets all the glory and all the rainbows. Well, there is a revival coming, and we need to pray for it. And one of the things you can do is attend the Family Leadership Summit 2016. It's coming on July 9th here in Des Moines. Ann Graham Lotz, War Room actor T.C. Stallings, biblical worldview expert Del Tackett, one of my favorite guys, and more. Go to thefamilyleader.com. Get your tickets now. You're not going to want to miss this day, the day the revival begins. All right, coming up, Dan Nichols has been with me here for the last hour. He graduated from the East Side in 81, joined the Navy, spent 10 years in the Navy. Came home and did his due. Didn't use his VA benefits very much because he had other benefits. And then on November 2nd of last year, so a little over 6 months ago, Dan was taking the garbage out, tripped on the lawnmower, fell and hit his head on the side of a brick. And immediately he was paralyzed from the neck down. And as he laid on the ground, basically suffocating or starting to suffocate.
Yep.
Prayed to God, if it's time for me to go home, I'm ready. You have prepared me, and I can't wait to be in your arms. But Dan had just gotten married, and he really wanted to stick around a little bit more. He goes to Yonkers. They rehab him, but they also tell him he'll probably never walk again. He'll probably be in an electric wheelchair. Get your house ready. Get your ramps up. Just prepare. And your wife of 1 month, she was not willing to be on the radio, but I can only imagine, I just started this incredible life with this man that I truly love, and now I may be his nursemaid, and you're a big guy, and she's a little squirt.
Absolutely. She didn't,
That wasn't going to be easy.
No.
But you get to you run out of insurance, and so the only place you can go is to a old folks home where you'll basically just sit, rot, and die.
Yep.
Or go to the VA.
Yep.
And you were fearful about the VA, but they were wonderful. And the part of the message in here is that the VA was and has been amazing. Do not believe all those stories. You can believe some of them, but they're not all like that. But tell me how your church, Valley Church over in West Des Moines, tell me how they rallied around you.
Valley Church, like you said, Valley Church in West Des Moines, just a fabulous group of people. They came alongside both myself and Gina, and, just came up and said, what do we need to do? What can we do? And they came alongside, and I'm a sales guy, so we work on commissions, and they came alongside and took care of, mortgages, bills, prayer groups, everything that you could think of for a church to do, they did. And we owe our lives as much to them as to anyone else, as to a doctor or anyone else. They've been wonderful in our lives before, during, and after this crisis. So,
how long until you got out of the VA?
I got out of the hospital 2 months ago.
All right, so now
little over 2 months ago.
Now you're home.
I am.
You're walking very well.
I walk. I drive.
There's a little bit of a gimp in your step, it looks like.
Yep.
I notice you're holding your left arm.
Sometimes, yeah.
Why?
It's just I have numbness and pain in my shoulders and arms.
Okay.
It's a nerve pain, so I just have to move around and keep it going.
Okay. What other exercises or physical therapy do you do?
I go to the VA every Friday for outpatient physical therapy, and I do some therapy at home. I have a goal this summer from a walking standpoint to do a 5K.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
We have a 5K walk.
When is it?
I'd have to look up the date. I think it's like the 27th or 28th of July. It's you remember Hope, Taste of Hope, our big outdoor event that we have at the end of VBS.
Yep, I've been there.
All right, and one of the things that we do on the first thing on Saturday morning is we have like a 5K walk or run, or for me it's ride my tricycle or whatever it is.
Well, that may be the one we do. Gina and I walk around Gray's Lake a couple times a week right now, which is a 2-mile path. So
you walk 4 miles?
No, we walk 2 miles.
2 miles,
then I fall down and cry, and then
No,
we do
you
it again.
don't.
But that's my goal. Sometime this summer, within the year, to be able to do a 5K. I'm not going to run. I'll walk, but I'll be there.
Tell me, Dan, how the priorities in your life have changed.
Well, as we were talking about off air, I gave my life to Christ 5 or 6 years ago, but this has really, brings you much closer and brings the priorities much clearer into focus. The things of life that are materialistic, completely fade away. It's just about being good to people, being nice, forgiveness, and focusing on the people around you and the people that you can touch, people you can tell your story to, and hopefully improve their lives.
And how has your relationship with Jesus changed? Because here's one of the, and I have not gone through something like you've gone through, for heaven's sakes. I'm not trying to compare. But I know in the trials and tribulations that I have gone through in the last 5 years, you grow through it. I mean, it's not like you're forced to grow. You want to grow. You want to get closer to Him and to understand His plan for your life, His will for your life. And it's like you're getting this special gift through your burdens. It's the strangest darn thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow, you hit it right on the head, Mac. When I pray, one of the things that I pray is for God to show me what I need to learn through this trial, and what I'm going to be able to share with others through this trial. When I think about the things the good things that have happened to me through this trial, I was married 1 month to this gal.
Yeah.
Guess how close we were in the next month?
Oh. Closer
than I've been to anyone in my life.
Yeah.
We came together, and she was by my side every day. She's the best person I know.
She's an angel.
She absolutely
is. You just
is.
don't know it yet.
But
have you checked out the feathers?
I see them.
Yeah.
But, I think about those things, even, the trials that we go through now, and there's always something going on in your life, is to think how Christ is teaching you. What do I need to learn through this trial that I can share with others, that I can use to make things better?
Because someplace down the line, I can tell you right now what's going to happen. Somebody in your church, it's going to happen to them. That unbelievable mistake, that accident that is about to change their lives, and you're going to be able to come alongside that man or that woman and give him hope.
I would hope that I could.
Yeah. Dan, buddy, I love you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank
Gina,
you,
thank you very much. Team, thank you. Jebediah, Chris, Frank, Bob. And what I ask you to do tonight, I don't care if you get tired of me asking this. I'm going to ask this every day, so you might as well do it. You're carrying a resentment against somebody, and you refuse to forgive them. Well, remember that when you forgive, as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. See you at church.